Jazzcast Pros.
Hello there, my C-suite sisters. This is Dr. Pamala Brown-Grinion, your executive C-suite coach. And today we are going to be talking about how do you alleviate the emotional trauma that you do not want to live with. So if you are interested in a podcast that is going to help you to reform yourself for the better, then sit tight. This is the right place for YOU. Welcome back to another episode of the Grace and Grind podcast. Stay tuned as we unpack neuroplasticity. And that is, how do you tell your brain how to behave in order to impact your emotions or your emotional well-being? Do you know that you do not have to live in a space where you feel like you have no control over your emotions? That's going to be the topic of our discussion for today. Do you know that you do not have to live in a space where you feel like you have no control over your emotions? I want you to take a moment to just ask yourself that question. How can that be? Yes, it's absolutely positively true. How do I know? Because I have helped myself and thousands of other women and girls to go on this same journey to healing from trauma and just reprogramming their brain based on how they associate their emotions and their behavior with their trauma. Now, what do I mean by that? You have the power. You have the power to control how your experiences show up in your life. You have the power to control how you think about your situations. You have the power to control how you respond to them. You have the power to control how they impact you and how much attention you give to it. You actually have the power to control all of that. I wish that someone would have told me this when I was in my preteens. I wish I had this information when I was growing up, going through lifing, and not having the words, the communication, the understanding. I just didn't know how to deal with adverse childhood experiences, i.e., trauma that was showing up in my life. I just didn't have the knowledge or the wisdom on how to do that. Of course, you don't have wisdom as a kid, but it just wasn't the talk, right? It wasn't the talk. It wasn't the regular conversation or communication in the household. And so today, if you are in a situation where you feel like your life is choking the very life out of you and you don't know what to do with it or how to deal with it, I want to talk a little bit about that today. Yes, I do. I want to talk about that. Why? Because there are so many of my C-suite sisters out there hurting, but leading. And so it's not authentic. And you guys know that authenticity is where I thrive. And so I just want to just delve a little bit into this and to give you some insight on how you may work on some of these things that are hindering you from becoming the leader that you know you were destined, designed, and that you desire to be. You know, I'm embarking on this new journey for the Grace and Grind podcast. So we're moving into change your life coaching. We are moving into change your life coaching because it makes no sense for me to have the blueprint for many of you and I not share it with you. And if you listened to the last episode, I introduced a course that is coming up. And so this is an excerpt from the course, and this is pretty much the foundational stone. So I'm giving this away to you today free. Why? Because it is needed. And I believe that once you actually practice these techniques and strategies and understand that you really can control how you respond to your experiences in life, good or bad, you control that. So I just want to unpack a little bit about neuroplasticity, which is what it's called, neuroplasticity. I know you might be thinking, but Dr. Pam, you are an etiquette coach. Yes, I am. But who better to coach you on how to reposition yourself, how to polish yourself from the inside out than someone like me who has gone through everything that I'm going to talk to you about today and then some. So I do have the roadmap, the blueprint, the navigation system, whatever you want to call it. I can take you from where you are to where you want to be, right? I can help you go from this place of I am leading, but my inside does not match the way my outside portrays. I'm going to help you with that today. Okay. Again, this is Change Your Life Coaching. Okay. Now, remember what I said. You have the power to change how these experiences that you go through, how they show up in your life, how you respond to them, how they impact you. How much control do you give it? Right. You guys know my story. You know that I had some pretty horrific childhood experiences that I endured, right? And I know that some of you listening have gone through similar situations. And we may not have the same scenario or the same childhood or even the same life. You may have experienced things in your adulthood. It does not matter. Trauma is trauma. Adverse experiences are adverse experiences, and the emotions show up the same way. So I may have gone through sexual abuse. You may have gone through domestic violence. I've never experienced domestic violence, but abuse is abuse. And it shows up in the same way. You're fearful, you're embarrassed, your self confidence is impacted. You don't trust yourself. You have imposter syndrome. You feel like everyone can see your shame. You feel guilty that these things have happened to you. It's the same thing, even though it's a different scenario. It may be death of a loved one. It may be divorce. It may be losing a child. Trauma shows up in our lives the same way, even though they're different experiences. So our stories don't have to be the same in order for me to be able to help you. So I just want you to understand that. You may have a story that you feel you'll never heal from, or something happened to you, it's unforgivable, and you'll never forgive the person, you'll never forgive yourself. I'm here to tell you, I went through those very same thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And that's how I know that you can heal. Your story can be different, and you can overcome all of the things in your mind that you're telling yourself that you can't. You absolutely can overcome all of these things. And I wish I had someone to tell me these things, that I have the control. I have the power to control how my situations, my circumstances, my experiences, how they show up, how I respond to them, that I could control that. Can you imagine how different your life would be if someone had told you that when you were, let's say, 9, 10 years old? 5 even, started having these conversations with you, even if you didn't understand them, but to just start having these conversations with you to tell you that you can control how you respond to the things that are going to happen to you in your life. If it was intentional or unintentional, you have the power to control. You have the free will. Now, that does not mean that you're not going to feel sad. It does not mean that you're not going to be angry. It does not mean that you're not going to wish that these things never happened to you. No, that's not what I'm saying, because you're going to feel all of that. That's the human part of it. There's no way around that. What I'm saying is you don't have to live with it for the rest of your life. It wasn't until I was 30 something that I started to understand that something has to change here. Like, how much of this can I control? Right? I started to ask myself that question. How much of this can I control? How much of this can I fix myself? And when I started to ask myself these questions, and it wasn't until I started to ask myself these questions that I started to go on a self exploration journey inwardly. And I started to plant these these seeds, these questions in the soil of my soul, and I meditated on them. And when I tell you, my internal compass surprised the heck out of me and gave me some answers that really evolved my life like in a complete 180. So I know that it works. I'm telling you, it works, but you have to go inward and have those conversations with yourself. So, have these conversations with the young people that are in your life, right? And let them know that, listen, although you went through this, let me sit you down and talk to you about how to respond to this, how to think about this, how much space you give it in your life. Because if you don't start to unpack these things when you're younger, you'll carry them into adulthood. And before you know it, you'll be a C-suite executive, but broken on the inside, right? With no one telling you how. People just say, change. You got to change. You got to get over it. You got to heal. You got to be better. You got to forgive and forget. That sounds great, but that's not reality. And that's not telling someone how to do it. How do you actually go in and turn these horrific experiences into something that you can manage emotionally, that you can manipulate for your own good, right? So I mentioned earlier neuroplasticity. Let's unpack it. What is neuroplasticity? Well, neuroplasticity is your brain's beautiful and miraculous ability to reorganize itself by forming neural connections throughout your life. It means that your brain is not fixed, it's quite flexible. Quite flexible. It's like a garden that can grow new pathways. It can bloom fresh ideas. It can pull up old weeds that no longer serve you, but you have to do the work. I can give you the information. You know the rest of that. You have to do the implementation. So I can talk to you about planting new seeds in your garden of life, but you are the caretaker. So it makes no sense for you to put new seeds into a garden that's full of weeds. Because what's going to happen? Your weeds are going to choke the very life out of the seeds that you're trying to grow. So we have to take some things out. We have to reframe how we think about our negative experiences. In other words, we're going to take out some old stuff it's no longer serving us. You don't need it. And we're going to plant some new ways of thinking in, some new ideology. We're going to reframe how you think about your life's experiences. Okay. Now, what does that mean, Dr. Pam, and why does it matter? It means that you can heal. You can heal from trauma, old thought patterns, negative self-beliefs. All of that can literally be rewired through new habits, new thoughts, new practices, right? What does that look like? All right. I'm going to give you my biggest trauma that I had to live through. And you guys know what it is, the sexual assault. I lived with that horrific thought of people can see it on my face. People can smell it on me. People can see it on me. People can see my shame, my embarrassment. People can see that I'm not confident, and I faked it for so long, right? And I felt miserable. I was depressed. I was sad. I was disconnected. I was emotionally distraught. I was in a terrible, terrible place emotionally for many, many years into my early adulthood, even mid adulthood, into my 30s, guys, into my 30s. But when I started doing this kind of work, and I started to help other women and girls to look at their trauma in a totally different light and to think differently about it and think about different ways for how to allow it to impact them, I'm telling you, it shifted everything for me. It shifted everything. So now instead of me asking, why me? Or having that woe is me type of conversation, I'm very thankful. Not that I had to go through the experiences. That's not what I'm saying. But if I didn't go through that experience, it's kind of a double-edged sword. If I didn't go through that experience or those experiences, then I wouldn't be as relatable as I am to other women and girls that sit across from me and tell me their stories about sexual trauma, right? So sexual abuse is the experience. Sexual trauma is what happens as a result of the experience. I wouldn't know how to help them. I wouldn't be relatable. I wouldn't have the right language. I wouldn't know what to say. It would be something that I Googled or read in a book versus my real life personal perspective and insight based on my own experiences. I'm able to help people because of my personal experience with sexual assault and sexual trauma. So now I don't think about, oh my God, I wish that would have never happened to me. Now I say, my God, I understand why. Because God knew that I would be sitting across from other people that needed to hear somebody say, I got you, and you're not alone in this journey, and it wasn't your fault, and really understand what that means. And not just because someone read a book or they sat in a classroom or they earned a psychotherapy certification or license or, degree, but real life experience. It's just so powerful. Now, am I saying that what I do trumps you going to see a licensed medical professional? Absolutely not. What I am saying that there is a space for what I do, and I believe that you need a coach and a mental health professional because we're going to attack things differently when it comes to your emotions. So you can heal from trauma. So that's the first thing. That's what it means, and that's why it matters. You can heal from trauma. Number two, you can grow because learning is a new skill. Practicing a new mindset or changing how you react to stress physically reshapes your brain. So you can absolutely sit down and just continue to take yourself year after year after year on why did this happen? I just don't know what to do with it. I'm never going to heal from it. You can stay in that space, or you can reframe it for yourself and you can tell yourself that I will heal from this. I can heal from this because I control how much power I give this thing in my life. And you can start reframing your brain to trying to find something positive, anything that you can grasp onto, anything positive that may have come out of your situation. Or you might say, you know what, Dr. Pam, I haven't seen anything positive that has come out of my negative experiences. Well, then I challenge you to just start thinking differently about it and start telling yourself, I'm not going to allow it to rob me of my life anymore. I'm just not. It's right now o'clock for me that I take my life back and I take this thing head on, right? You have to reframe it. You have to change your very mindset about the way you think about it and the language that you have with yourself. That is the mindset shift. You have to change the language that you're having with yourself. And instead of telling yourself that it's killing you on the inside, it has robbed you of your life, it has choked your essence out of you, you have to start telling yourself, not anymore. I am more than a conqueror. No weapon, not even this trauma that has been formed against me, shall prosper. I know I experienced this, but I am no longer going to allow it to rob me of my future. You've already given it so much time and energy and attention and your emotional strength and your willpower and your desire and your confidence and so many other things. You've already given up so much. You've sacrificed so much already. Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired? So I challenge you to shift your mindset and start to reframe in your mind and start to grow, start to expand your mindset and start feeding yourself positive affirmations, positive thoughts, scriptures, quotes, whatever it is that you do. And if you don't do anything, start, right? Just write down 5 things that you're no longer going to allow yourself to be robbed of. What are you going to do differently? What are you sick and tired of? And I know we get to the point where we say we're sick and tired. Well, until you become sick and tired of being sick and tired, you will be where you are. So are you sick and tired of being there? That's a question that I want you to answer right now. All right. Why else does it matter? Because it's never too late. I don't care if you're 8 years old or 80 years old. Your brain can adapt to whatever you tell it to adapt to. It can. That is the whole magic with willpower. That's the whole magic with free will. You can control how you think. And when you think it, how you think it, why you think it, you have the power. But you have to strengthen your willpower. And the only way to do that is to tell yourself that I'm not too young. So you can tell your babies, your nieces, your students, your grandchildren, your little sisters. You can tell your neighbors, your best friends. It's never too late. You can change the way your brain thinks about the things that you've gone through or the things that you're currently going through. You can. You can. You no longer have to have this incarceration of the mind. You can have reformation of the mind. You can. You can. I'm telling you, you can because I did it myself. So I know that you can. So I'm not telling you anything that is foreign or that I haven't done. Is it hard work? Absolutely. Is it gut-wrenching work? Absolutely. Is it scary? Abso-freaking-lutely. But you've already been scared. It's already been hard. It's right now o'clock, right? So you do have to have courage and you have to make up in your mind that I am going to do this for me right now because you deserve to be the leader that you desire to be, that you were destined and designed to be. And you can lead from an authentic space. You can build your self-confidence. You can get rid of imposter syndrome. You can. And you don't have to do it alone. And that is the difference. The only difference between me and you is that I did not have a me. I learned the hard way. And so it took me many, 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 many years for me to get over this and through this. And I mean, it was a lot. So it's going to be much easier for you because you're going to have me to help co-create this thing for you and navigate this journey with you. So you won't be alone. Okay. And I want you to stop telling yourself you're stuck. You're not stuck. When you tell yourself this is just who I am, based on what I've gone through. Remember, neuroplasticity says, no, my darling, you can become whomever you're willing to work to become. But also remember that your brain is a muscle that remembers. And so if you only feed it, this is just who I am. I have an attitude because this is just who I am. I mean, because this is just who I am. I deal with life in this way because this is just who I am. Well, when you continue to tell yourself that, your brain remembers that. And so your brain will recall those memories and your brain will perform at the level and in the space that you have programmed it to do so. What I'm telling you is going to be I know it's so contrary to what you're used to. But when I tell you, you can do this and this works, you can do this and it works. Okay. So you're not stuck. You're not. You're in a place right now where you have visited. You may have even pitched a tent, but we're going to dismantle and unassemble that tent. And we are going to get you back on your journey to life so that you can continue to live life to the fullest. I want to help you to discover your totally unique self. I want to help you with this. Okay. So you got this. We got this. And always remember that there is a silver lining or some good, and even the worst tragedy. You just have to look for it. If you spend all of your time looking for the dark cloud, then you're going to experience the dark cloud. If that's the only thing you look for, then that's what you're going to experience. Remember, you are what you eat, physically as well as emotionally. So if you want to be emotionally sound, you have to be emotionally invested in a positive and optimistic way. So let's go back and let's retrace what we've talked about. Why does neuroplasticity matter? Because you can heal, you can grow, it's never too late, and you're not stuck. Okay? The brain can reorganize itself by forming new thought patterns, right? It does not cancel out your experiences. It does not. We can't do anything about that, but we can control how you respond to them, how much power you give them in your life. You can. And I want to help you with that. So we are going to break down a little bit of this at a time, a little bit at a time, so that we can get you back on the journey that you're supposed to be on, your journey to wholeness, so that you can be the leader that you were destined, designed, and that you desire to be. Remember, confidence is the new executive currency, and I want you to be wealthy in it. Okay? That's all we have time for today. I'm your girl, Dr. Pamala Brown-Grinion, and I am your executive etiquette coach. If you've hired me yet or not, I am your executive etiquette coach. I can't wait for us to connect and to work with you. And I'm so excited on this journey that we are going to be embarking on in the near future. Please reach out to me. You can go to my website at www.totallyou-nique.com. You can reach out to me on socials at I am Dr. Pamala. I am Dr. Pamala. Or you can email me at consult@totallyu-nique, just like the website, .com. If you'd like to call me, my number is 585-454-9827. So you have all of the ways to reach me. I can't reach out to you. This is the only avenue that I have to reach out to you is through the Grace and Grind podcast. So if you want to reach out to me, reach out. Get prepared, get excited for the August date for the new program, High Powered Leaders in High Heels. Get ready because it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Okay, so we're just going to be unpacking a little bit of it at a time so you can become familiar with some of the things that you are going to be learning about or what I'm going to be coaching you on in the program. As always, it's been a pleasure, and always remember to create your totally unique day on purpose. Until next time.